She pepper sprayed me at my own neighborhood pool, yeah? That happened. And the only thing I walked in with was a towel, a paperback, and a pool card that beeped green at the gate. You know what I mean? The kind of Saturday where the light turns everything gold, and you're mostly thinking about what to make for dinner. I'm Janelle Cedar Trace in North Carolina, 5.5 years on the same street, with the same nosy mail truck that always knocks twice, and I was just trying to cool off. Sit in the shade, maybe read 2 pages before a kid cannonballed nearby when I heard it. "Ma'am, do you live here?" Not curious, not friendly. More like the kind of question that isn't a question at all. It's Pamela from the HOA Big Tote. Bigger attitude, the self-appointed sheriff of pool rules, and she's blocking the path. Like the water behind her is. Fort Knox. Sliding over me like she's checking for counterfeits if people sneak in. She says, "Don't look familiar." And listen, that line lands heavy, because it's never really about familiarity. It's about a story. Someone already wrote in their head. I hold up my card point at the Little Season sticker offer to scan again, and I can feel the crowd tilt toward us. A dad freezes mid-step. A couple women pretend not to stare. A teenager on the diving board goes statue still. And the easiest thing in the world would be to pull out my wallet. Flash the license, swallow the sting. What you give up to make a moment easier has a way of coming back to tax you later. So I say it plain, if ID checks are a rule, make it a rule for everyone, not just me today, because I don't look familiar. Her smile tightens like it's hurting her face to hold it. I'm on the board. I set the rules, show me ID or leave. And while she's talking, she's digging in that tote, rummaging for something that makes my stomach go cold. "What are you reaching for?" I ask, already knowing I won't like the answer. And a man near the shallow end mutters, "You've got to be kidding me," because out comes a little black canister that catches the sun like a blade. "Put that away." "Pam," I tell her, voice level, even though my pulse is banging on my ribs. "Call management if you need to." My card scanned me in. I live here, and the phones lift like a flock. Tiny red dots blinking, because everyone can feel the temperature change. "You people think you can just walk in anywhere," she says. And the words hit the deck like a dropped plate, sharp and messy. A few neighbors gasp. Someone whispers, "Not again with her." And I step forward just enough to be steady, not enough to be a target. I don't owe you my dignity to sit by the pool. And I say it louder, so it travels across the water. Last chance she snaps. Show the ID or get out. And what I remember next is the shimmer of the deep end, and a little kid asking his mom why that lady is holding a spray. Then the hiss, small and ugly, and my eyes turn into fire. My throat tastes like metal. Tears pouring before I even decide to cry. Towel thudding on concrete. And there's a dad dumping water over my face saying, "Keep your eyes open." A woman fanning a towel like she can move the burn and everywhere around us. Phones catching angles, because crowds don't need any help remembering what they saw. When it looks like this, Pam keeps the canister up for one more heartbeat, like it's a microphone she can't let go of, then stumbles over her line. I warned her she refused to comply. I was protecting the neighborhood, and I'm trying to breathe through the sting while a neighbor barks, protecting us from what a woman with a book that's assault. Call the cops. Except someone already did, and you can hear the sirens before you see the lights. 2 officers come through the gate with the kind of calm that makes everyone quiet down. The woman crouches to my level. Says paramedics are coming, Asks if I can sit, I nod, because I don't have words that don't scrape. Then she asks, who saw what? 6 hands pop up with phones like receipts, and the male officer turns to Pam. You pepper sprayed a resident over an HOA rule. Do you have proof she isn't a resident? And she says, I know what I saw, which is a sentence that always sounds confident until someone asks it to hold water. The gate creaks, and the whole pool shifts again because a familiar cadence of boots hits concrete, and a voice finds me even through the burn. Jay, I'm here, and I squeeze his hand before I can really see him. Marcus, my husband, home from Fort Benning a few days earlier, with a duffel still on our bedroom floor, and in the space between us and the officer he stands. Not loud, not threatening, just steady. You attacked my wife in our own neighborhood, he says. And the officer lifts a palm like we all need to keep the temperature down. We have video, sir. We'll process accordingly. And Pam scoffs, charged for keeping people safe, like she wants to make it sound ridiculous. But Marcus turns, and his voice drops in that way that carries farther than a shout. Safe from what? Exactly from a mother with a towel and a paperback. The only threat here is your arrogance, and if the room wasn't sure before, it's sure now. The female officer nods at her partner cuff. For assault with a chemical agent. Metal clicks. Gasps paramedics, ease me onto a stretcher, and the lights spin a slow circle on the water. I wish it ended there clean and simple, but life doesn't love tidy by the time I'm home from the ER with eyes that feel scraped raw. The videos have sprinted through our HOA Facebook, into the high schooler's Instagram, over to TikTok, where the internet turns pain into a loop, with captions that alternate between rage and advice, and the lines that travel the farthest are me saying, I live here, and Marcus saying, safe from what? And we wake up to a wall of notifications. You can scroll for miles, people are kind, at least some are clueless, in that well-meaning way that still stings. Next time, just show the ID and avoid the drama. And our daughter Zoe shuffles into the kitchen with her tablet. Mom, you're on my Friends For You page, which is not a sentence you expect to hear before coffee. The HOA scrambles late-night emails with words like deeply concerned, and under review, neighbors choose sides. A guy named Clint talks about outsiders and enforcement, like he's guarding a castle. A retired teacher named Evelyn writes something that feels like a bomb. A rule that strips dignity isn't a rule decent neighbors should keep. And then there's the meeting a folding chair kind of night, with powdered lemonade smell. And twice the bodies the fire code was built for phones up. Murmurs snapping from one table to the next. The board sits stiff. Pam's chair, empty. Nameplate, staring at us like a ghost. And the chairperson clears his throat to say, we're here to discuss community standards, and people actually laugh, because sometimes euphemisms are the only thing that sound obscene. A dad in a cap stands up. We all saw it, remove her, and the polo crowd pushes back. We can't let social media run our governance. Non-residents are a real problem, and my legs are moving me to the mic before my brain finishes arguing. I pull off the sunglasses so they can see the red edges around my eyes. What rule did I break, I ask. Besides the one in her head, about who looks like a neighbor my card scanned. If you want ID checks, make it a rule and check everyone, but don't hand someone a can. And call it duty. And the room goes quiet. The way a room goes quiet when people know the truth, and they're deciding whether to like it. Marcus's hand on my shoulder is the anchor I didn't know I needed. The chair mumbles thank you. Notes. Deliberations. And from the back, someone yells, Notes, action, and the applause is messy but loud. The board suspends Pam and calls a special election. Not everything I wanted, but a door opening. And the charges keep moving too. Court has cameras outside and whispers on benches and strangers putting your pain into a box with a label. Pam tries TV to say she's vigilant, not biased. Then the anchor rolls the clip with you people, and the studio goes silent, like even the equipment is embarrassed. Our lawyer, Carla, lays out options. Sue for damages, argue negligence, drag the whole mess through a civil case, and measure what it's worth. And I want change more than I want a check. I want the next Pam to pause. So we push for training every year for a resident review committee, for limits on what any board member can do when emotions run hot. Spoiler, it doesn't include pepper spray, and to my surprise they agree faster than I expected and slower than I needed. And a month later, Pam sells her house pressure fees, the sharp cold of being a pariah, pick your reason. The real win shows up on a Wednesday. Zoe and I walking back through that gate that still makes my chest tighten. The desk attendant smiles, scans the card, welcome back, Ms. Carter. A neighbor holds the door, and it doesn't feel like pity. It feels like recognition. And I sit there in that same honey light, listening to kids laugh, thinking about how belonging isn't a permission slip. It's a thing you carry, and sometimes you have to hold it tight because someone else will try to put their hands on it. People will say, this was about a pool. They'll try to shrink it until it fits inside a comment box. But it was about how bias dresses up as safety, how control cosplays as community, how a title becomes a weapon when nobody checks it. And it was about the crowd deciding in real time who they were, the look away folks or the not today folks. Not everyone agrees with how it ended. Some still say, Pam had the right idea and the wrong tool, and maybe if she'd skipped the spray, we wouldn't be here. Maybe. Or maybe if she hadn't learned that her comfort ranked higher than my dignity, she wouldn't have reached for anything at all. So tell me where you land. If you were by that pool, would you have stepped in? Have you watched a neighbor get sized up and stayed quiet? Is it ever okay for a board or a manager or a volunteer with a title to demand proof of belonging on site? And what happens when the site is you drop your take in the comments, argue it out? If you need to tell me what your neighborhood changed after a wake-up call, and if you think dignity shouldn't be a luxury item, hit subscribe. So more people hear stories that push past the headline and make us all pick a side.